Hello my quilting friends, my name is Leah Day and we are loading the Cutie Breeze quilting frame, and I have a quicker and easier method for you. It is Magnum Magnets. I use these to click my quilt in place. They hold it securely, so much faster to load, so much easier, and I can get 11 inches for that first row across my quilt on my little rebel. So can't wait to show you how this works. We're going to load, we're going to advance, and I'm going to show you some quick and easy ways that you can use these to help you position your clamps once you're ready to start using them. So let's get started. So we're going to get started loading the first zone of this double wedding ring quilt, and you can see it's wanting to pull itself off the front of the frame. I grab one Magnum magnet and click it in place, and it is locked in position. It's not going anywhere. I usually put 3 magnets on the quilt and then wiggle the machine around just to check my placement. Now, whenever I'm quilting freehand, I like to be able to stitch right along the top edge and the left edge of the quilt. I don't like any extra, fabric wasted. But if I'm quilting with QCT, I want to make sure that I have positioned the quilt with a couple inches between the take-up rail and that left side. So that way I have enough space for QCT to do its thing. So make sure you don't push it too far if you're doing computerized quilting. As for how these are attaching to the frame, I'm clicking these onto the front flat side of that take-up rail. I position the batting and backing over that and then click the magnet in place. I like to position these 3 to 4 fingers width apart, and that's going to be roughly between 2.5 and 3 inches apart. And then if I have extra batting and backing fabric, I can roll that up just a little bit and then pop maybe every other Magnum magnet on top. Once you get the take-up rail secured with the magnets, you're going to spread and smooth out the quilt over the front rail. And I like to use one Magnum magnet to that front rail just to lock the quilt in position so it's not slipping down into the hoop. So having that magnet locks it in position so I can lock those front clamps in place, and it locks nicely. Position the side clamps as well, and you're ready to start quilting. As far as my quilting space, I was really surprised. I was not expecting to find 11 inches of quilting space right now in this position. That's just what I found in this quilt on this day. I can't promise that that's going to happen every single time, but that was pretty surprising to me, as that is a very small amount of space to be taken up by the back rail and the Magnum magnets. Now let's talk about advancing our quilt through the frame. You're going to remove all of the clamps, front clamps, side clamps, and all but one of the Magnum magnets. Grab a hold of the quilt and pull it from right to left across the frame. Then leaving that one Magnum magnet in place allows us to maintain the same position of the quilt on the frame, so you can easily click more magnets in place, keeping that quilt nice and straight to that back rail. Once you have that positioned, again, replace your front clamps and side clamps. Now in this case, I didn't have enough backing and batting fabric to extend over that other side. This is a case where I grab a hold of a side leader. This is just a 6-inch scrap of fabric that I've cut, and I keep 3 little pens on the side of my frame on a Magnum magnet just for this position, like just for when I need this. It's so handy. I pin that leader cloth in place my side clamp, and I'm ready to go. Now let's talk about advancing the quilt forward to the next row. And at this place, I would have 11 inches of the quilt quilted. I can't continue to use the Magnum magnets. I have to switch to the coil clamps. But the magnets can still help me be able to get the quilt in nice position and keep it in place as I'm placing the coils. So I leave those 3 in place, remove them as I position them, and then push them down. It's so nice to have that little extra helping hand so the quilt is not wanting to slip off the frame. Once I get the coil clamps in place, roll up the quilt and tuck them into the coils. Whenever you're loading the front, whenever you're clamping the front, the same thing can happen. The quilt can slip into the front of the frame, and again, I place that one magnet to the front. It kind of locks it into position, and it just makes it that much easier to place those 2 front clamps. Now, as for space, you have to be careful when it comes to quilting on the Cutie with the coil clamps with a little rebel, because This is one situation where we have a take-up lever where we're going to lift our foot whenever we're piecing with this machine. So always watch out for that, and it's a really good idea to baste stitch your zone before you begin quilting whenever you're stitching on the little Rebel. You want to check your space and not try and quilt too far, otherwise you may hit those coil clamps as you're stitching. So whenever I tested this, taking those coil clamps into account, I had 8 inches of quilting space. Now it's important to keep in mind that you can only use the Magnum Magnets for the first, maybe the second load of your quilt, depending on the size of your sewing machine. With the little Rebel, that first row, if I can quilt 11 inches across, I'm definitely going to need to switch to the coil clamps for the next row because I'll have so much quilted quilt, it will get unmanageable, and it needs to have those coil clamps to start rolling the quilt and organizing it, and a place to store it on the frame. So once you switch to the coil clamps, I still use like 3 or 4 Magnum Magnets to help me position the quilt on the frame, get it into the right location, and then it helps me position and place those coil clamps with less slippage. You know, that's always the problem, is the heavy quilt is trying to fall off the frame, and the coil clamps, you can position them, but then as you go to press them down, sometimes the quilt can slip. I find the Magnum Magnets give me that control back. So it holds the quilt in position no matter where I am in the quilt, even if most of it is hanging off the edge of the frame, and it gives me that time to place that clamp without it slipping. So I love these. I use them on all of my hoop frames now, and that's the other thing. These work for all hoop frames. You can use them on the Q-Zone frame. It also has a squarish back rail, so it's definitely going to click on easily, just the same way as it did here on the Cutie Breeze. And yes, it does work on the Evolution hoop frame as well. Even though it's a star rail, you kind of want to position the Magnum Magnets. They're going to tilt ever so slightly in that star rail. You want to make sure that they're consistently tilted, kind of the same angle, and then whether you're loading for rolling rail style or hoop frame style with the Evolution hoop, you can load both ways. Remember, it's going to work fine. And I love these. They are my new favorite quilting tool, and here's the really awesome thing. You can use these to also load a Q-Zone Queen, and I will be teaching you that in a follow-up video coming soon. So I hope that you'll come and check these out. They are an awesome quilting tool. You can find them at leahday.com/magnum. Until next time, let's go quilt.